Good afternoon, dear children. So here let us start with a new poem, that is Ozymandias. Now here this poem has been written by P.B. Shelley, so a famous poet of the times in English literature, and this is a very interesting poem as it also conveys a message to us. Okay, so let us start. Ozymandias was the name by which Ramses II was known. So that means this king was actually, his name was Ramses II, but he was given a title, he was known by Ozymandias. He was a pharaoh famous for the architectural structures he erected during his rule. So pharaohs, you must have studied in history, the kings of Egypt were known as pharaohs. So as the word pharaoh has been used, immediately we understand that this story is about the story from the land of Egypt. So now here this Ozymandias or Ramses II was a famous pharaoh. Okay, and he was famous for what? Famous for the architectural structures that he got erected. Architectural structures means any buildings or any sort of constructions, or even the stonework, rather all the stonework, those all will come under your architectural structures. And he got it erected during his rule, during the time when he was ruling. Shelley here uses Ozymandias to show that nothing lasts in the face of time and nature, however proud or great a person may be. So here Shelley tries, through this poem, Shelley tries to explain us or tries to show us that in this world what remains? The good work that we do. Means that is when we are kind to people, the good quality work that we show towards people, towards our fellow beings. And if we are proud, if a person is very powerful because of his pride and attitude, that doesn't matter once the person dies. So here that is what we are going to read. So here Shelley uses Ozymandias to show that nothing lasts in the face of time. Means as the time passes, nothing lasts. And nature means in front of nature also you are not a very strong person. If you are trying to show that you are very powerful, so in front of nature also you are not powerful. However proud or great a person may be. So the proud and haughtiness of a person, that should not be shown. The good work of a person, that is more important. That's the last forever. Perhaps it is only art that has the power to last and move generations. So the poet says that the artwork which is shown through this poem Ozymandias, that has the power to last. So that means these type of work what you are doing, so that will last, but not the power that you are having when you were alive. After that no one ever looks at you, no one ever gives you any respect. So this is what we are going to see in this poem. I met a traveler from an antique land. So now here the word I refers to the poet. The poet says, I met a traveler from an antique land. So from where did the traveler come? From an antique land. The word antique means from an old land. Okay, so now here, since this poem is about Ozymandias, as we have seen through the introduction, so that means this antique land refers to the land of Egypt over here. Who said? So that means who is speaking now? The traveler started speaking. So from here in the poem, the traveler starts speaking till the end he speaks. Two vast and trunkless legs of stone. So now here what did the traveler see? Traveler saw two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. So the traveler has seen two vast means two big and trunkless legs. Trunkless means trunk means the upper part of our body. So these two legs of stone, they did not have the upper part of the body. Only the legs of stone were standing where? In the desert. So this is what the traveler had seen. What did the traveler see? The traveler saw two vast and trunkless legs of stone. They were standing in the desert. Near them on the sand. Now since this is a desert, of course we will see vast stretches of sand only. So near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies. So what was lying near the trunkless legs? So near those legs was a shattered visage was lying. And what do you mean by shattered? Broken. Visage means the face. So broken face was lying where? Half sunk in those sand. Means it was half covered with sand. Okay. So half covered with sand, it was lying in those sand. Whose frown and wrinkled lip. Now these are the expressions which are seen on the visage, on the face, okay, of that broken statue. So what were the expressions? Frown was there, wrinkled lip, and sneer of cold command. So frown shows the expression of anger, displeasure, that the person is showing anger, he is not happy, he is showing displeasure. And wrinkled lip, again the wrinkled lip again shows the angry face, okay. And sneer of cold command. So sneer of cold command, so that is again your without any respect for anyone, okay. It's an expression. This is a sneer means an expression, cold means without any emotions, command means showing the authority, the attitude. So this was the expression which could be read on the visage which was lying in the sand. So sneer of cold command. Till that its sculptor well those passions read. So when we see the visage which was lying shattered in the sand, which was half sunk, the expression that we read, what were the expressions we read were? Frown, wrinkled lip, and sneer of cold command, which shows the expression of anger and expression of attitude, no respect for anyone. So when we read these expressions on the visage, so then we understand that means the person who created this statue, that is the sculptor, SCULPTOR. So the person who's created this sculpture, okay. So this is a sculpture and the person who created this sculpture is known as the sculptor, right. So this sculpture, the person who has created, that person, that sculptor could read the passions of that particular person, and so since he was a talented sculptor, so he could easily put it down when he was carving this statue. He could easily put it down on the expression of this statue. So that means this is the talent of the sculptor which he has shown on his sculpture, okay. So tell that its sculptor well those passions read. Passions means here the emotions of the king's face, which yet survive. So now here the king is not surviving, but what is surviving? The statue, the sculpture is surviving. And when people come and look at that sculpture, then they read the expressions of that sculpture and then they understand that yes, the king must have been a very proud and haughty king. So he did not have any emotions for his subjects, or he did not have any feelings for his people. Rather, he was a proud king. So this is what the people, those who all are visiting now and seeing the visage, they can read the message of the sculptor, okay. So now here the king has died, but his character remains through the sculpture, okay. So tell that his sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on the lifeless things. So that passions are still surviving, because the sculptor had very beautifully created exactly the same thing only he had created, how he had read the expressions of the king when he was alive. And now these things are lifeless things. Now what is lifeless? The sculpture which is lying down is a lifeless things. So here, which yet survive. So what is surviving? The emotions of the king, which was beautifully stamped on this creation of the sculptor, that is surviving, though the king is not surviving. The king is dead, and these are the lifeless things which is lying down. So this sculpture is the lifeless things which has got no life now. The hand that mocked them. So that means the hand, whose hand created this? The sculptor's hand created. Mocked means he has copied exactly what he could read on the king's expression when he was alive. And the heart that fed. So that means whose heart fed those expressions? The heart of the king. Because the king by heart, he was a rude person. He was a person who had lot of attitude, who wanted to show his command. So since his heart was like that, so his expressions on his face also came like that. And then the hand of the sculptor created those expressions. And on the pedestal these words appear. So what is a pedestal? It is a platform, a high platform on which the statue of this king of kings, Ozymandias, was erected. Okay, so now on the pedestal, what were the words? My name is Ozymandias. Remember these two lines. Okay, that is, my name is Ozymandias, king of kings. Look on my works, ye mighty and despair. So these two lines are, they are engraved on the pedestal. Okay, so the story is being told by the traveler. Remember, we started the story by the traveler from the second line of the poem. So now here these two lines were engraved on the pedestal. So that means this was engraved when the king was alive, because he had got his statue erected when he was alive, and so then he had engraved these two lines. My name is Ozymandias, king of kings. By these words only we understand the king was a proud and haughty person. He had no emotions for anyone. He was proud of his power. He wanted to show his power. And so he says, my name is Ozymandias, king of kings. Look on my works, ye mighty and despair. So you all will get disappointed by looking at how powerful I am. But all of you see, I am very powerful, powerful than anyone. Look at my power. So that is what he is trying to exhibit over here. Look at on my works. So that means what? He is trying to show his power, that I am powerful. I am the most powerful person on this earth. That is what he wanted to say. So these two lines are engraved on the pedestal. And these two lines, when they were engraved, that was engraved when the king was alive, and he wanted to show the people, see how powerful I am. So only he got these two lines engraved there. But now what is the condition? Where is he? He is dead. What about his statue? His statue is broken, shattered, lying on the sand. No one looks after it. No one wants to look after it. And all of the people, when they come and see, they are seeing the condition, the powerful king's condition. What is now? No respect. No one has any feeling for the statue. Let it lie here broken. Nobody is bothered to look after it. Nothing beside remains round the decay. Now again the traveler continues his story. Okay. So nothing beside remains. So the traveler says nothing is there. Only vast stretch of land, sand and sand is there. And this statue is broken. It is half sunk. The visage is half sunk. So no one wants to look after it. Round the decay. Decay here is what? The broken condition of the statue. So round the decay of that colossal wreck, colossal means huge, and tremendous, big wreck. Wreck means the broken condition. So what is broken here? The statue is broken. So only the poet says the colossal wreck, the huge broken condition of the statue who was once powerful. But what is now the condition? Nobody wants to look after it. Where is your power, king? No one is bothered to look at your power. Boundless and bare. So without any limit, the colossal wreck is lying there on the sand, which is the boundless means without any limit, and bare, the empty stretch of land. The lone and level sand stretch far away. So now here the lone and level land, that is the sands, and everywhere you can see sand and sand, but you cannot see the statue standing on the sand because it is broken without any respect from anyone. So it's lying there on the sand. So here this is the poem, and children, I hope that you have understood. So the message that we get is that we should not show our pride. We should, though we might have the power, but do not use it in a wrong way. Use your power in the right way to look after your people, to look after for the benefit of everyone. So that is more important. So here children, there are many figures of speech have been used, like we have synecdoche, hyperbole, irony, alliteration, oxymoron. Okay, now first let me explain what is this alliteration. Alliteration, you must have read, it is the repetition of the consonant sound when we have in a line. Okay, so here in this poem we have the consonant sounds repetition, that is cold command, we have that. Then the hand that mocked, the heart that fed. There again the, that is the, that. So these are there. Then hand, heart. So again there we have the alliteration. Then too vast and trunkless. So here too and trunk. That is the consonant sound again we have. Then boundless and bare. Again that the consonant sound. Then lone and level. So there again the l consonant sound is there. Then sand stretch. So now there again we have consonant sound. So that is the alliteration that we have in this poem. Then the irony is that we have the irony here. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works. So when it is written, look on my works, people are looking down. What is there now? The broken visage, no respect. So here that is the irony of this poem. So though the king was powerful when he was alive, but what is the condition now? No power now. It's just broken and lying there. So where is the power? So that is the irony in this poem. Then we have this, this is an octave, that is the 8 lines poem that we have together. So this is, we can say, this is an octave here. Then hyperbole means exaggeration. When we are exaggerating something, ज़्यादा boast कर देते हैं, isn't it? So boasting means to praise someone. Like here the king says, my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. So I am so powerful, King of Kings. So here again this is a hyperbole. Okay. So children, I stop over here. I hope that you all have understood. Please go through the poem as well. Watch the video, listen to it carefully, and I am sure you can understand every word of it. Okay. So thank you and have a wonderful day.